Heroes Reborn Episode 6, Game Over. This was definitely an amazing episode, I think, because it drew... I shouldn't say amazing. I shouldn't say that's... I really enjoyed it because we got to see a lot of really cool things. We got some pretty interesting answers, and we got some stuff that we just hadn't seen in this series so far, and that's what made me enjoy it so much. We got multiple storylines converging. We got Hiro Nakamura coming back at the end of this episode. We got time travel, so it's jumping to June 13th, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm just excited to see what they do with this because, of course, we have time travel. We're going to get... The preview was really awesome because it was like, okay, they're going to stop this, stop that. And then it was like, oh, here's Mohinder. Here's... I can't remember her name at all, but the woman who was, like, leading Primatech before. And I was like, oh, they're just bringing everybody back in this one. We might actually get to see Claire, too, in the next one. So I was kind of surprised on their preview. Like, oh, we're actually going to get to see a lot of the, older characters. So I'm looking forward to that. But we got not only a death of a main character, which was very surprising, who was killed by his own sister, and that made it a lot more dramatic, but we got Katana Girl, sort of her official story, which I was kind of wondering about this whole time, especially since I think it was in the second episode when the guy who can clone himself, because I don't remember anyone's name, to be totally honest. I don't remember, like, any villain names whatsoever. I remember, like, all the heroes' names, but, like, I don't remember a single villain's name at all, except for Luke, who is going to kind of becoming a hero at this point. But we get, like, her official story, which they kind of touch on with the clone in the second episode, where he was like, are you his daughter or his greatest creation, or something like that. And we find out that his daughter died, and the creator's daughter died in a car crash, and she is basically like the recreation of this girl. And for whatever reason, whatever his ability is, that's why she's able to go in and out of the game. Like, he has some crazy ability where he can kind of digitize certain things, or maybe he can just make fake things in his mind real, and he made this character in honor of his daughter, and it just made that character mentally exist. And whatever, that's just how his powers work, I guess. I don't know. And then for some reason that tied her to Hiro's ability as far as teleportation and time travel. It's just interdimensional wise instead of merely teleportation and time travel. So we get the possible conclusion of her storyline, because they say that she would die, and she certainly kind of got digitized, but she didn't come back after that scene. But we also don't see what happens with Ren either. He's just kind of gone, so he may or may not end up getting captured. I'm not 100% sure. But of course Noah is taken into the past by Hiro. We find out that Hiro's power was being used to send stuff into the future. It wasn't a teleporter like I thought it was, which I think most people would have assumed. It was like, oh, they're teleporting whatever they need to teleport to locations across the planet, but they're actually sending stuff through time. And they actually send, like, I don't know if those people went through time because they weren't right in front of that portal, or if one of those people had powers. I assumed that it was the machine, but now that I think about it, I don't really know, because it seemed like everything had to specifically be in front of that box, or that little, like, red light, but they were kind of, like, off to the side, and then they just went, like, poof, and they vanished. So I'm not 100% sure if one of those people were Evos, or how that worked out, but I assumed, and I'm still assuming, that they just, like, poof, they just went into the future, like, unknowingly. So that would be interesting. I'd love to get a series about that, like, oh, we're just somewhere in the future, because they don't specify, and I would assume that they have to be going to a very specific point in the future, and maybe it's sort of a two-part effort, where it's like, we're doing this, in the present, and then we'll send these items and stuff into the future for our future selves, and we'll, kind of work on both ends to basically save the world, but if we can't, we'll help rebuild it even faster by just sending goods to the future. So I thought that was interesting, and then, like I said, they don't really touch on it, so hopefully they do, and we get sort of specifics as to why, because I know, of course, it's like, oh, things are restarting, and maybe that's the whole point, is to just send as much as they need to into the future and just skip over the solar flare event and just try to fix whatever needs to be fixed in the future. But yeah, I don't know. Like there was kind of a bit of a question once he mentioned it was actually a time machine. So I was kind of interested in that. Jumping off the time machine thing because it's the perfect jumping point. There was totally, and I love the writers for doing this. They put in a Back to the Future reference because October 21st, 2015 was Back to the Future Day, and the location of the research facility or whatever it was specifically called is at 88 Hill Valley Road, which is a reference to Back to the Future. Like the 88 miles per hour is what they need for time travel, and Hill Valley is the location that the film takes place in, or all three films do. So I was so happy when they did that and just read it off, and I love that it was just like completely subtitled. I was like, that is totally a Back to the Future reference because they knew when the episode was coming out. So I was like, that's really awesome, and of course I love that because obviously I love Back to the Future. So I enjoyed that part. They had the little moment where the guy asked, like, so you guys built a time machine, which may or may not have been another reference because technically that could have just been another question, like, well, they technically built a time machine. But perfect episode for that to happen. Since this didn't premiere on Wednesday, which was Back to the Future Day, of course the day after, do it whenever you can. So I love that they did that. That was actually really awesome to me. But this was a fun episode. We also have Erica's daughter, we find out, is pregnant. She totally rats out her mother to this new Evo group that we never heard of before, and it's just like on the news. Like the Evo Truthers, I believe, is the name of the group. So we find out about them. She totally rats her mother out. Like, she's the one that kidnapped all these people. This is what's happening. Experimentations, all of that stuff. So that was pretty cool. She's going off doing her thing because now she's having a child. She doesn't want to be involved in this, crappy world. So, which makes perfect sense, of course. So I really like that part of it. Luke's storyline seems like it's about to get very interesting because he's going to help get Tommy. He's helping the girl, like the only hero whose name I can't remember, the girl who has like elemental powers. So she saves his life, and then he finds out, like, you're looking for someone that I know. So they're gonna at least be near Tommy somewhat. Like, I don't know how they're gonna end up finding him going back to his old home, but I guess they'll probably end up finding his mom, and then it'll kind of just work out from there. But I thought that was kind of cool. We have these two characters meet up, and crazy special effects moment. And he buys this boat and stuff, and I thought for sure, I was like, oh, he's just gonna go sailing or whatever and just get away from all this. And then it's like, no, he has all these bricks in his backpack, which completely confused me. I wasn't even thinking. I'm like, what in the world? Like, is this like, what are these bricks for? Like, does he have like some? Are they somehow gold? I don't know why that was in my head, as if that was his power to, convert things or something. I was like, why does he have these bricks in his backpack? For what reason? And then he put the backpack on. He was, of course, standing on the boat. I was like, oh, that is actually logical. So compared to me thinking he had some random new power to convert bricks to gold, or as if he converted gold to bricks, which wouldn't make sense because he didn't have gold. So that was just really stupid when I was watching it. But it was a pretty cool scene, like some crazy CG where she like lifts him out of the water, and he's just, everyone saw that. Like, I was surprised they weren't just swarmed by police during that scene where they were actually talking, because they only show like a little kid reacting with this ice cream, but that was basically like a whirlpool or something, like a typhoon just shooting up out of the water. Not as big, obviously, but basically a typhoon came up, and there's just a person floating, and clearly there's someone with some very interesting positions where she looks like she's struggling. Like, okay, I can look in a straight line and say this girl is doing that Evo stuff. So I was very shocked by that scene where nothing happened to them. Like, this little kid reacted. There was a person next to him, so a parent or some adult was next to him, and it was like, this is weird. All these boats, clearly people, nobody said a thing. So I was very surprised by that. Maybe they showed the person and I just missed it, where they showed them and their back was turned or something. But either way, you would think there would still be someone around there where it's like, look at that man floating over the water. Something, Evos. So I was surprised by that, but I'm looking forward to where their storyline continues on to. The stuff with Tommy was pretty interesting. His story, this episode I liked because it was very emotion-based, where it's like he was trying to figure out if he was good enough to save the world. And he was having issues with really being an Evo and stuff like that. And when they go to the Eiffel Tower, which I think the girl, and she's the other person whose name I can't remember, Erica, or no, Emily. Thank goodness she had that necklace. That flashed into my head like, oh, that's her name. She mentions to him, like, she got mad at him, and I was like, I totally agree with that, because it was just stupid. Like, I know why he did it, because of course he's in a very weird position, and he's really mad about, the discrimination against Evos and stuff like that. Made a terrible joke, he was, talking about his powers. And it wasn't even a joke. He was just like, I could teleport you, this thing, and this big stupid tower into space. And then he's like, but I won't. I won't do that, though, because, like, I'm a good guy. I really like that because it was funny. Like, he should not have said that at all. But, they had to get the heck out of there. And it was just a nice storyline for his character where it wasn't him dealing with, these big reveals and things like that. It was him after the big reveals and after the big trauma of, he was actually adopted. His mother is in the hospital and all this stuff. It's him just dealing with the fact that he's supposed to save the world and wondering if he's powerful enough to do it. So I enjoyed that. We got the final Ninth Wonders, which was in French, which I thought was kind of cool. They still had one last comic book to show us, and so he found this rare thing he was looking for. And they kind of just flipped through it. There were a couple of images, I'm pretty sure. He was on the front. I believe the other girl was either Emily or the other girl he's supposed to save the world with. So there's going to be some stuff in there. They might actually have him flipping through it and looking at the pictures, and we'll get to see where the next couple episodes are leading to. But I like that storyline for his character where he's just dealing with the emotional impact of all the insanity. So that was fun. He actually gets his chip pulled right out, and then poof, he teleports that, which I don't know why, but I really love that because it was such a tiny little thing, and the focus just looked really cool when they did the teleportation effect on it. It just looked really sweet, but I enjoyed that. They end up kissing at the end, which was very surprising because, she kind of pushes him off or, kind of dodges it in the last episode because she has a boyfriend, I'm assuming still, but she totally went for the kiss in this, and I was like, huh. I didn't see that one coming. Like, I thought for sure that he would kiss her, but she kissed him, and I was like, well, good for them. Even though, obviously, she's technically cheating, so I'm sure they're still going to have that random scene where the other boy comes in, and it's like, what the F? Because he's just been gone. Like, I don't know. If I missed something, you guys would have to tell me, because I could have sworn in that last one with the whole hospital scene, after they got the blood, like I mentioned in my other review, he was just gone. So I still don't know what's happening. I would think that with these two characters vanishing, that he'd have something to say. He'd show up or something, and would be like, where have you guys been? What happened? The police were swarming all over your mom's room and all this other stuff, and he's just been gone. And it's just really weird to me. So hopefully that does come back, because otherwise he just vanished, and it's like that just wouldn't happen, because you wouldn't just abandon your girlfriend and the guy who's like now your best friend, and poof, they're just teleporting all over the place, and you just don't even try to find them, I guess. I don't know. And the only place he could go is like his girlfriend's house anyway, but still something, and it's been nothing. He's just been gone. But I like this episode. I'm definitely looking forward to these flashbacks. Well, I guess they aren't flashbacks, they're just in the past. So definitely looking forward to that stuff. We'll get to see what decisions they make and how it changes the future, or how all that stuff's playing out. But of course, even in the preview, we find out that the guy who makes the clones, he's the one who had the bomb, because Hero mentions like, you do this and I'll stop the bomber or whatever, and he's fighting against the guy who makes clones. So I'm guessing he's the bomber. It was totally them to begin with. And I realized during that scene that Renatus was completely responsible. They probably said this a million times, but the actual symbol was the symbol that was on the building that they were in, where the time machine was. That was the same symbol created in like the little plants in front of the thing. And I just they didn't really show the scene since this episode, and I was like, oh, that's the exact same symbol that they have. So this was kind of just their plan the whole time, I guess, to just instantly turn everyone against Evos, which I mean, people were kind of against them, but obviously a giant, sort of terrorist-like attack would definitely push the odds in their favor. So they've known for over a year that this was going to happen, and I would love to see how killing off all of these people and forcing Evos to come in, or forcing people to be scared of Evos so they don't care, was smarter than just saying, we have this information. Obviously, mass chaos, so don't tell everybody, but tell certain. They know who evils are. Just hey, this thing, that thing. This is what we think's gonna happen. We kind of need your help. That's all they would have had to do, but instead it was just like, what? Let's kill a bunch of people and have everyone hate evos, so nobody cares when we start kidnapping them. And it's just like, that's just an evil. That's just an evil person plan. That's what that is. It's like, it's not a logical plan. It's an evil villain plan. Like, that's just what that is. But I enjoyed the episode. We had the El Vengador stuff. It's more Batman-like. Very simple. His was like, he drove the guy to the place, this random mansion, which really surprised me. I thought for sure in the beginning of this episode when the guy, the Evo cop was like, oh, it's this mansion, they had like all three storylines going on at once, and it was like the El Vengador storyline, Noah's storyline, and then Miko's storyline. I thought for sure they were all going to say the same place, and all three of those storylines would converge. And then it was like, no, he's just going somewhere else, and the two of those storylines converged. I was like, oh, well, that kind of sucked. Because the guy mentioned it first, and then I was like, oh, sweet, they're all going to say, like, the same thing, and these three storylines are going to finally come together. And I was like, nope, just 2 out of 3, and then his storyline really went nowhere. They were in the car the whole time. He drank the vial, which I really thought was stupid. I was like, that's just not a smart idea. And so now he's bleeding from his nose and stuff, and he's passed out. Who knows what's going to happen. Should be entertaining because, it's Batman. But I'm looking forward to it despite how kind of weird it was in this episode. It was just them in the car, and then he was just like, alright, save my nephew. And then I was like, well, that was dumb. But we'll see where it goes. But I enjoyed this episode still. Like I said, I shouldn't say amazing, but I did really enjoy it a lot. I think this is probably my favorite one so far just because of the emotional stuff that they had with Tommy. Finally, we had 2 storylines officially converge. We got Hero coming back, possibly the end of Katana Girl. Like, it's Heroes. They could, some weird thing. They probably found a way. We get the actual story of the real Katana Girl, the actual daughter who died. So that was pretty cool. Like, they revealed a couple of interesting things. The whole fact that it was a time machine, not just a teleporter. Very surprising. Love the Back to the Future reference, of course, but a fairly enjoyable episode for me. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And as far as I'm concerned, I want to know what you guys think about them possibly killing off Miko. Like, I know my girlfriend hates that storyline. I know it's not a lot of people's favorite because even just the video game stuff looks crappy to a lot of people. And it does look kind of weird, but I want to know what you guys think is going to happen with her character. Like, do you think they actually killed her off? Do you think she's going to come back? Do you guys not even give a crap because you just hated the storyline? I want to know what you guys think. I personally enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was, like, the best storyline. It was probably my least favorite, to be totally honest. But I still thought it was interesting because it's, like, her looking for her father. And I guess he's actually dead. Because they don't really say that he's not the one in the tower like we thought it was Hero. And then he's just nowhere still, so I guess he's dead. I'm still wondering that now. But like I said, I want to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.